and what hormone is it? Growth and development. When children are born, they need to grow. They need to go through they need to grow from, infants and young children to school going, and they need to develop. All these are controlled by the hormone. Also, your movement, your muscle movement. You have major muscles and lower muscles. You're moving up and down. You're going up the stairs. Any movement you make is controlled by muscles. I can see somebody's moving around. That is muscles. And of course, these muscles are controlled by hormones. Reproduction. All these are hormones. There are so many hormones involved in reproduction. When you're going through pregnancy, stage 1, trimester 1, trimester 2, trimester 3, different hormones are involved in different activities that actually ensure that we give birth to a healthy baby. And I think what people also know and appreciate is that hormones take part, hormones control mood. They control mood. So when you have happy hormones, like endorphins are happy hormone. When you exercise, you produce endorphins. Endorphins are produced during exercise, and this give you feel-good factor. And also studies have shown that when you have maybe you find places in rural areas or in slum dwelling places, or let's just say low income areas, when you put football as an activity, it actually reduces crime, because you produce the good happy hormone, which prevents you from doing anything bad. And so there's a whole lot of hormones that are included in many activities. But for this presentation, I'm just going to discuss few hormones. There are too many. So here we have digestion. Digestion is controlled by several hormones. We have gastrin in the stomach. It stimulates the releases of gastric juices, which contributes to the production of chyme. And number 2, you can see chyme is a small intestine. It stimulates intestinal cells in mucosa to produce secretin and something called CCK. CCK is it's a hormone called cholecystokin, and it's used in digestion. And then the secretion stimulates release of sodium bicarbonate from the pancreas, and this CCK stimulates the release of digestive enzymes from the pancreas. And then sodium bicarbonate is released to neutralize the acids in the small intestines. And then you have CCK, it signals gallbladder to contract and pour contents into the small intestines. Then secretion increases the rate of bile secretion in the liver. And then the digestion goes on and on. So this is the minute you put food on the table, then this process starts. The minute you start to smell food, and if you have a habit of eating at a particular time, then your hormones are released at a particular time. So we just talked about one of the activities that hormone controls is sleep. So when you sleep and wake up at a particular time, it controls all the hormones when they are released for digestion. So if you sleep at a particular time and wake up at a particular time, you have a better control of your hormones and So another section we want to look at is hormones and metabolism. But before we go into hormones and metabolism, I think always find that hormones is quite a bit complex, okay? So do we have any question or any question or any addition on hormones and how they control digestion and enzymes?
Not at the moment. No. I can't see anything.
Not at the moment.
Yeah.
And very, very good. So you can see what you've talked about. You've talked about the chyme, which it stimulates intestinal cells in mucosa to produce the secretin and the CCK, okay? And then you have the stomach, you have the liver, you have the gallbladder, we have the pancreas, and we have the small intestines. All these organs are important in hormonal production. So hormones and the metabolism. We know about insulin, which regulates fuel metabolism. which regulates the fuel metabolism, storage, and maintain blood glucose levels. So we all know about insulin. Every time we eat, the body, all the food we eat becomes sugar. So this sugar, for it to get onto your cells, it has to be insulin is used to convert the sugar into energy that we use. And so, excess, when you take carbohydrates, it's stored as glucagon. So what happens every time you eat, there's insulin production. So you eat a lot of food, there's a lot of sugar, there's more insulin production. You eat a lot of carbohydrates, there's storage of glucagon. So when you go through exercise, what happens is when you start exercising the first few minutes, you use insulin, you use glucose. And then this glucose, once you deplete the glucose, the body uses fat. And so when you extend your exercise for like 1 hour, 60 minutes, the body uses fat. When you stop exercises, then the body is going to utilize glucagon. And glucagon is just the storage of your carbohydrates. So if you're going to be fit and you're going to lose weight, then you have to always utilize your glucagon. So this is a hormone that is involved in metabolism, and the metabolism that you're specifically talking about is utilization and storage of glucose. And the glucose comes from food, so everything you eat becomes sugar, and the sugar is utilized with the help of insulin. Then we have thyroxine. Thyroxine, it stimulates the cells in the body and control biological processes such as growth, development, and metabolism. Okay, so people get sick and they get hypothyroidism, which means they get low thyroxine levels, or they have very high thyroxine levels. So when it's normal, it just regulates all these processes properly. So one of the functions of thyroxine is actually it helps the body to utilize energy. So when your thyroxine levels are low, you use very little energy. Let's just say you and me sitting down. So how much energy are you utilizing now? Maybe you're utilizing maybe 100 kilojoules every second. So when you breathe, you use that. So if your thyroxine levels are high, then you have hyper metabolic rate. That means your body uses so much energy. So let's say I'm using 100 kilojoules per second, you are using a lot more. And so you find that when you have high thyroxine levels, then you have hyper metabolism, you utilize your energy, and you're never going to add weight no matter what. But we have, when it is too high, actually, it's never safe. It's never safe because you lose so much weight and you get certain complications related to high levels of thyroxine. When it is also low, then there are blood tests that you do, like thyroxine levels, and then it shows that, okay, this is low. And when it's low, it means you also get complications. For example, you get low energy levels, you break hair, you cannot conceive if you're trying to conceive, you're completely fatigued. And so those are low levels of thyroxine. And so it affects growth, it affects development, and it affects metabolism. Metabolism can also be classified as the speed at which your body uses energy. Does it use it so fast, or does it use it in a slow rate? Then we have a hormone called epinephrine, which acts as a muscle tissue to raise levels of glucose on demand. So when somebody, especially this applies, especially, we all have it, but when you are like a runner, for example, somebody who runs like 100 meters, they need glucose. So they have high muscles, and their body is trained to be able to store, because they have higher muscles, they store their glucose in the muscles. And so when they need glucose for that fast running, like Bolt, then the muscle produces glucose. So you need epinephrine for that. And epinephrine is also sometimes called adrenaline. So it's the same hormone if you know about adrenaline. And then we have leptin. Leptin influences appetite and body fat distribution. So if you eat a lot, it's been shown that then your leptin levels are going to be high. And so then your body is always going to be demanding for food. So if you have a habit of eating a large portion of food, your leptin levels always become high. And so your demand for food is high. And it helps the body to store fat and distribute fat. So the more you eat, the higher the leptin levels and the higher the fat distribution. So it's those hormones that you can control. So if you want to control your leptin hormones, then you need to actually control the portions that you eat. But if you can't control your portions, it means you always start to eat more and more portions because the levels become higher and they also influence your appetite. For example, you can find somebody is 100, let's say they are maybe 100 pounds, can you say that? 55 kilos, 100 pounds, 50 kilos, but they can grow really big. You've seen those case studies where they have somebody is like 400 pounds and they used to be just 100 pounds. But they start eating and they continue eating. So leptin has a role to play in controlling also body weight. And then you have your sex hormones such as progesterone, testosterone, and estrogen. This affects also metabolism and body composition, and of course, production, reproduction health for men and women. Okay. So how does dietary intake impact your hormones? Effect of dietary intake on hormones. So let's start with insulin. So insulin, like we said, is a hormone that helps your body to utilize glucose and also store glucose, like regulate the glucose that you have. So if you eat, everything we eat becomes sugar, like we said. When you take your carbohydrates, like your fruit, your starches, your legumes, this become 100% sugar. Your protein about 60% sugar and fat about 10% sugar. So every time you take this food, your insulin is released to try and regulate the sugar, to lower this sugar by converting it to energy, which your body uses. So the more food you eat, the more sugar you have and the more insulin produced. And something about insulin, when you eat refined foods, refined products, for example, you take like soft drinks, sweetened soft drinks, sodas, and refined juices, it increases your insulin response index. What does that mean? When you take sugar, it shoots your blood sugar way above normal. And that means that the body has to produce a lot more insulin to lower this blood sugar. So the more soft drinks you take, the more sugary drinks you take, the more insulin you take. And so it means that when you keep doing that, it increases your risk of getting diabetes, because then your insulin levels, your pancreas is going to become literally fatigued of producing insulin, or you end up having what we call insulin resistant, high concentration of insulin in the body. Then thyroxine level, I think I've already explained, thyroxine really controls your metabolism, the rate at which your body uses energy. So if you take a lot of, but this is usually people get thyroxine, either low thyroxine or hyperthyroidism because of a medical condition. So it's never really your choice it's never really your choice. So this is really a medical condition. If you get hypothyroidism, it means you cannot utilize energy, and so you're likely to add a lot of weight and get a lot of complications. If you have high thyroxine levels, then you're also likely to lose weight, and it becomes very toxic to your body. So it's definitely not good for you. Then we have epinephrine, which we said is also adrenaline. So this cannot really be controlled by diet, even though it it can be controlled by good health. So people, they operate on adrenaline. Like everything they do is adrenaline. They rush about everything. They're always feeling stressed. They're always ready for flight. And this is not good for your health completely. And then leptin, we said leptin is a hormone that actually controls your appetite. So the more you eat, the higher the leptin levels, and the more you can eat. So the more, if you eat a lot of food, your food intake always goes up because of high leptin levels. And then, of course, your sex hormones, such as progesterone, testosterone, and estrogen, there are definitely specific foods that you sometimes need to eat to increase your progesterone, testosterone, and estrogen levels. Yeah, I think my presentation was very short, but I would like to have more discussion. So what do we take home? What is the message you take home? Your diet impacts your health and your life. It impacts the micromolecules, the small things that signal activities like behavior, changes like moods, like sleeping, like appetite. And so these are really, really important. So you always need to do your best to improve your body's immune and internal health now, because it will protect you now and later in your life. So I'm hoping for more discussion. Genes load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ojwang. If you can stop sharing, and then we can ask for questions from the audience. What do we want to know? Janet, your hand is up. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes.
Can you stop
sharing?
Sorry, 1 second. Let's just minimize this, and then yeah, we have 2 hands up. Janet, do you want to go first, please?
Yes, please. Thank you very much, Dr. Ojwang, for the presentation. I want to ask this question. Can you tell us, or what is the link between eating certain foods and the production of milk, breast milk? For instance, you mentioned about the refined foods and the sugary drinks that spike up the sugar levels, and so more insulin is produced. So what does the food or certain, because I know I'm from Ghana originally, and it said that when you eat certain foods, like foods that you use maize for, or groundnuts and stuff, it's good for you as a lactating mother. What's the science behind it, or what does it do to? I don't know if you're getting my question.
Yes, I am getting your question. Like, people, when you give birth, you're told to eat all sorts of things, right?
Yeah.
All sorts of things to improve, yeah. So of course, when you're some hormones that are involved in breastfeeding are like maybe prolactin, I think.
Yeah.
And prolactin, yeah. I don't remember the other one, but yeah, so prolactin. So you need to have high levels so that you can actually produce enough milk, okay? But what happens, this prolactin can actually be affected by your mood and stress, right? So it's been found that the mood and stress can affect your prolactin. So then we are very stressed, you reduce your milk production is very low. But then there have also been certain foods that have been associated with the increase of prolactin levels, and that increases your milk production. And so, to be honest, this is not really lactation management is not my area of specialty, but people have had so many theories, from taking Guinness Malta, which is very famous in Ghana area, to taking groundnuts, to taking different foods. So for me, what I do is I always advise person, what is the basics of eating healthy? You need to have fruits in a certain amount, you need to have your vegetables in a certain amount, and you need to have starch in a certain amount. And remember, what I have seen actually, when somebody is very stressed, like emotionally stressed, they're going through some emotional stress, it affects milk production. So it doesn't matter what you do with your diet, it will affect it completely. But all in all, people need to start by eating healthy rather than prescribing as certain foods. But maybe this is something that I am challenged to do more research on.
Yeah.
What are these foods that actually increase your prolactin?
Can I?
Hibbah, what do you have
Yeah.
to say?
Yeah, I wanted to add on to it. You know, you mentioned prolactin. So the other hormone is oxytocin. And so far, I haven't also come across any evidence that really can single out specific foods. However, there is anecdotal evidence. And Janet, I know you know what that means. Some people would say, when I eat or when I drink this particular soup, I get a lot of breast milk. Yes, that could be for them, but we don't have any scientific publications to link certain foods to breast milk. What we know, what the science teaches us, is what she's explained: oxytocin and prolactin. And as she said, irrespective of the soup, or there's one in Ghana, it's a mash kenke, you know, that people say induces breast milk. If you are stressed, if you are unhappy, if you are sick, then the breast milk would not really flow. So then, Janet, I'm throwing this question back to you. If that is the case, then really, even when you are stressed, then the milk should flow. So the hormones really has to do, what we know is what she explained, has to do with your state of mind, how relaxed you are, more than single foods.
Single food items, yes.
Single food items.
So we take you back to eat healthy.
Yes.
The basics of health. Lots of vegetables, some fruit, variety, whole foods, a lot of fluid. Fluid is actually very important in milk production. So if you're also dehydrated, it doesn't matter what you eat. If you're not taking enough water, enough fluids, then that's also reduces milk production. Yeah.
Is that okay? Okay, Sylvia, your hand is up. Yeah.
Is this our Sylvia?
Yes. Good evening, Dr. Alice.
Good evening, Sylvia.
So I have two questions. The first question I've got is something that I've always been keen on, and I personally might want to do more research into it. So people tend to say when they're on their menstruation, not people generally, even it happens to me sometimes too, when they're on their menstruation, they tend to crave at a certain time. So it can either be while on the menstruation or while you're ovulating, they tend to crave a lot. Now, I've seen studies and I've seen research, and I've heard a couple of dietitians here and there mention, it's the production of progesterone. So would you say that also has something to do with our diet? Would you also say that maybe there are certain types of things, food we need to eat for the production of progesterone, basically?
Okay, yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah. So what I know is that there are three hormones that play. We have the serotonin levels, and then we have the progesterone and the estrogen levels. Yeah. Okay, so when your estrogen levels are low, I think you can confirm that for me, Hibbah. Yeah. When your estrogen levels are low, and then your progesterone levels are high, they're always behaving like this.
Yes, okay? Yes.
And that causes craving. And that is the craving experience during the menstruation periods. However, I find that people who actually skip meals and don't eat or eat high carbohydrate levels, they actually crave more. Also, they crave more. So when you have unhealthy eating habits, your cravings are actually a lot higher. And so you have to change your lifestyle to be able to manage. And like I said, I've been doing this for 20-something years. I know, I have seen it. I can tell you, I know your habits play a big role. So if you're somebody who eats healthy, then your cravings are actually not that bad. You probably don't even have cravings. You don't even realize that. You know, you just have maybe the usual period cramps for you to know your periods.
Yeah.
Then the other thing also is your serotonin levels. They usually become very high at a particular time of the day. And so, especially during your periods, then that also affects your craving. And so most people think the craving is for, so they're the ones that choose, I'm craving chocolate, I'm craving chips, I'm craving cake. But actually the craving is just a little bit of carbohydrate. So it can be a piece of fruit, it can be a piece of bread for you to actually just lower that, you know. So yeah, but usually your habits, your lifestyle is the one that pulls the trigger. So when you have a healthy lifestyle, your cravings are less. If you have a poor lifestyle, your cravings are more. And then, of course, what happens? You're going to go for the food. You're craving for chocolate. You'll go for it and eat lots. You're craving for whatever it is your mind has told you or you've decided. But there is always your decision. Eh? So there's no science that says that when you're in your periods, you crave for chocolates or you'll crave for chips. No.
Chips.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Dr.
You have your second question, right?
Yes, so, I have a second question. Yes. So the second question, it's in regards to the autoimmune disease, that's the thyroidism. So we already know that it's genetic. It's not something that your lifestyle can affect or things like that. So what happens when your hormone levels are normal, but you still have the antibodies reacting? The level of antibodies are still high. In that case, do you think that diet can calm that? Do you think that diet can calm that down? So does the person have to do like a gluten-free diet, or basically like a dairy-free diet, sort of?
Okay. So thank you for that. Actually, what the evidence is showing now, that before your thyroxine hormones show that you actually hypothyroidism, you already are developing this process because it's an autoimmune disease, like you said. So most of the time, by the time you're being diagnosed with a hypothyroidism condition, it has actually taken maybe, sometimes they say 5 years if you're fortunate, or even 10 years. So you have all these symptoms, but because your thyroxine levels are not showing that it's low, it will show after 10 years. That's what evidence shows. So then you don't know what the problem, and people keep guessing and keep guessing and keep guessing, all right? But also what the evidence is showing now, if people have those symptoms like hypothyroidism, which is sometimes confused for insulin resistance, then they actually need to, of course, change their lifestyle, fluid intake, water intake, but most importantly, they need to now start watching their carbohydrate. And then there are certain foods that you shouldn't eat. You have foods that have androgens, like broccolis, that block absorption of iodine. And so you need to increase your iodine intake. And there are certain vitamins that can actually improve your iodine uptake in your food or utilization, so you can be supplemented with those. But when it comes to gluten is not everybody, not all. I mean, actually, to be honest, the only condition that I know that you're not supposed to eat gluten is celiac disease, you know. But for us, when we are going through some symptoms, most of the time people think it's gluten, but sometimes it's not. So unless you yourself know that if I eat gluten, I do not tolerate it, I will get a stomachache, I will get bloating, I will get pain, then that's the only time you need to stop it. Otherwise, there's nothing wrong with gluten. I only know celiac disease, that you cannot tolerate gluten. After that, not much evidence. Yeah. I hope that answers you, my dear Sylvia.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sylvia. Do we have any more questions? If not, I think when you asked the first question about cravings, Alice, what came to mind was emotional eating. You know, there was a point I wanted to make, but it's just escaped me. But when you said that it's a decision, I guess the point, I've forgotten the exact question. I had a question, but I guess the point I want to make is that, yes, we are not born emotional eaters. So when you say it's a decision, yes, people have the environment and the way we grow, you know, makes us develop some of these conditions. but it's not like in our genes that, you know, one is an emotional eater. And so with the right support, you know, with the right team, your GP, your dietitian, or your nutritionist, you know, all of that can be changed. You'll be supported, and all of those cravings would go away. All of those cravings would go away. The question hasn't still come, so I would wait and see if others have some questions. Do we have any questions from YouTube or Facebook before we let Dr. Ojwang go?
Maybe I'd like to add a little bit about cravings, and this is something that people struggle with a lot, and this is actually driven by your hormones, and it's actually how you eat that actually drives them. For example, if you take a lot of sugar in your diet, we have seen that when you take a lot of sugar, you increase your insulin response index. That means your insulin levels shoot high to reduce the sugar. And so what happens when your sugar levels are high and then it's taken down, suddenly what happens? In a short while, you're hungry and then you're going to eat again. So you're craving for that carbohydrate. You eat a sweet carbohydrate, refined carbohydrate, same thing happens within a very short time. Your sugar drops down because the insulin has to be produced to put the sugar down. Then you're forever having cravings. So when you eat lots and lots of carbohydrates as your main source of meal, you're always going to have cravings no matter what. So for you to stop the cravings, you actually need to have a balance. Always make sure you have a protein, and your protein can be, or eat more refined carbohydrates, like you eat legumes instead of white bread. You know, include nuts in your food. If you have to have bread, have it with peanut butter. It reduces the speed at which this bread is going to become glucose, and so that reduces. And then, of course, the other thing is if you stay long hours without food, you know, then you're definitely going to crave, because if you stay long hours without food and then you eat a meal, whatever meal it is, it's going to be a shock to the system because you've not eaten for like so many hours. So the sugar is always going to rise as compared to if you ate like two meals. You know, you had like so many hours between meals. So if you want to reduce your cravings, even during your periods or even when you're pregnant, then you just want to really learn to eat healthy and eat on time, you know. Maybe I can also add something else as we wait for questions.
Is that a new hand, Sylvia, or is it old one? Is it old one? Yeah.
Okay. It's an old one, yes.
Okay, no props. Do we have any questions? What do we want to know about hormones and diet? So, Dr. John, are we saying that you can't really pinpoint specific, well, apart from you've given us this talk about sugar and how, you know, high carbohydrate foods can impact on those hormones. Are there any specific foods that can help with good hormones? Saying that with the assumption that we might have some hormones that are perhaps not really positive?
Yeah. I think maybe when I finished my first degree, I would tell you for this hormones, eat this, and for this hormone, eat this, and for this hormone, eat this. Yeah? But you realize we have so many hormones controlling so many body processes. And to be honest, apart from the old grandmother's tales, there's really no evidence that you need to eat this particular food for this hormone. The advice is you need to maintain good health. You need to eat a variety of foods because all these foods, they play a different role. Okay, you have a thyroxine person, you know, you have somebody who has a problem with their thyroxine, then it's to do with iodine utilization. So then it's really not thyroxine, but iodine utilization, because it helps in the processes of thyroxine as a hormone. So then when you're told to eat these particular foods to increase your iodine, it doesn't mean those foods are to increase your hormone thyroxine. It's to improve the processes so that your thyroxine levels can be normal, you understand? So there's really none. Let me also give you another example. For example, you have sleep. In sleep, you're controlled by two hormones. You have melatonin levels. So melatonin levels, they help you with sleep. So if your melatonin levels are high, then you're going to sleep very well. But what happens also, if you eat a lot of food at night, you increase what we call your serotonin hormones, okay? And these serotonin hormones, when they are high, then it reduces the melatonin hormones. So then you're awake longer. And so the solution there's no particular food you need to eat, but the solution there is don't eat a lot of food at night and eat earlier in the night. Eat at 6, 7 o'clock latest so that you have 2 or 3 hours before you go to bed. So really, there is no specific foods that are particular to the specific hormones. And remember, the hormones control so many processes. I only named a few. Yeah.
It's not the specific food, but I think what you are saying is the whole lifestyle.
It's the whole life.
So because you talked about eating early, reducing the portions at night. So it's everything you do together that would impact on your hormone levels, which will in turn impact on your health, which is why we keep having these sessions. Yeah, I guess I needed you to reiterate this point. We never talk about specific foods. We never talk about, we don't single out specific things. It's the comprehensive, it's a holistic approach. Sleeping well, sleeping early, having enough sleep, I guess, is also important. The timing, if you are not doing intermittent fasting, not skipping meals unnecessarily, people would just not eat just because they don't have the time. All of that would impact on our hormone levels directly or indirectly, and that in turn will affect our health. Okay. Do we have any more questions or comments on this topic? We still have some time, 15 minutes before our next session. What do we know? Yeah.
So I can talk about something else.
Okay, please go ahead.
So obesity, obesity is having excess fat in the body. And so when you have excess fat, so what has been found is that the fat itself becomes an organ, all right? And so the organ now produces several types of we call them free fatty acids and other hormones that are actually, some are known, some are unknown. And so this actually is what causes this is what increases your risk. So when you're overweight and obese, your risk of diabetes is high. Your risk of hypertension is high. Having obesity is the easiest way of getting many and several cancers. Okay, so for you to actually reduce the impact of obesity, then you have got to lose weight and eat healthy, because the fat mass, I don't have my fat model here because I'm not at home, but that fat model, you can see it becomes an organ on its own that starts to produce hormones that disrupt everything. So having excess weight is really dangerous. And so it is important to actually lose weight to be able to control your hormones, The other thing is when you get older, you get older, you're in your 50s, then we have menopause. Menopause, it just means that your estrogen levels have become very low. That's just a natural process. And when it becomes very low, then you experience hot flashes. People experience, very dry skin, brittle hair. Some people get muscle pulls. The symptoms are so many. And what I'm studying now, because I'm getting the hot flashes, in fact, I have my fan here, because I know naturally, because of aging, the hormones the estrogen levels are low. But what I'm learning by talking to several women is people have different side effects, and some of them are so severe. Some people have very hot flashes that they actually cannot even sleep. They have palpitations in the night. But because I'm studying this thing, I'm seeing some of these people, the pattern I'm seeing is the poorer your lifestyle is, actually the worse the symptoms. The people who have very bad symptoms, but very few of them, because of, it's just unfortunate, but they actually have a healthier lifestyle. But the people who have poor lifestyle, they suffer the most. This is what I'm seeing as I talk to the women. And so if your lifestyle is not good, you don't exercise, you don't eat healthy, you don't sleep well, and it's just not about food, it's sleeping, it's exercising, it's breathing, it's, your emotional health, your sexual health, all these things, they affect you in the long run. So just remember, with hormones and craving, hormones affecting your sexual health, hormones affecting your metabolism, hormones affecting your sleeping, hormones affecting your digestion. So if you don't eat healthy, you interfere with the normal regulations of these hormones.
Deep. It sounds like we are in the classroom. But when you started talking about how the fat can now act as an organ, today I was teaching a session on lifestyle and disease, and you just reminded me about what I was talking about. So we all have something called adipose tissues. Mm-hmm. Now, these adipose tissues also have cells. The cells are called adipocytes. So those cells are what stores the fat, the excess fat. When we eat, the excess fat is stored in the adipose tissues. Those tissues have fat cells called adipocytes. Now, the adipocytes have the tendency to expand. Just look at, look at it like this, a small circle, but it has the tendency to expand. Now, if you have a healthy weight, then there is no problem, because we do need some fat. But if you have too much weight, then that adipocyte, which is just the cells in the adipose tissues, expands. And so when it expands beyond its capacity, or when it stresses too much, then that is when it starts secreting a lot of, they call them bioactive proteins. They call them adipokines, these things that have been linked with all of these diseases that Dr. Ojwang was talking about. So now I'm going into the physiology, a bit of the physiology of what happens in obesity. So those cells expand too much, then it sends triggers, the body is triggered for it to secrete some substances which interferes with hormones, which now interferes with insulin resistance, which can now lead to what we call atherosclerosis, so plaques in the arteries that can lead to heart diseases. So the emphasis on us losing weight, the emphasis on obesity, it's because of all of these science that we don't talk about every day. We don't learn about, we don't need to know all of these, to be honest. But in fact, there is a lot of impact. There's a lot that goes on within our bodies, which indirectly affects our hormones. So it's not always the diet. And I'm glad Dr. Ojwang brought in the fat issue. It's not just the diet. Well, eventually it's the diet that would result in that, but it's the fat as well that can interfere with your normal, hormone functioning, with other metabolic processes in the body. And that would predispose you to a lot of diseases. High blood pressure, heart diseases, you name them. Those fat cells become too big, and then they are triggered to produce all of those harmful substances in the body. Okay.
Thank you for bringing the science. I was trying to be lay, but
I know, right?
Something you said is, is when the science of your body, it produces, the fat expands. So the cells expand. So when you add, they say, when you add significant weight, the fat cells, they expand. When you add excess weight, the fat cells increase in number. Okay? So not only have they expanded to capacity, they have also now multiplied. But when you lose weight, they just sit there in weight. This is why if you go through the yo-yo dieting, you go through yo-yo, you eat healthy, you stop, you do 13-day diet or 14-day diet, you're going to lose weight because you've removed the lifestyle that makes your weight go high. But then you're going to go back to that lifestyle and you're going to gain weight so fast, like never before. And you're always going to gain more weight. And so the fat cells, they just sit there in weight. So you change your lifestyle, you can lose 100 pounds, look very good. But when you go back to your old lifestyle, it's going to increase, and the fat cells are just sitting there waiting to expand, and they keep expanding. This is why sometimes you watch people and you say, it's unbelievable. You can add so much weight. So don't even get started on it.
And yes, if you're trying to lose weight and you're struggling, that's why we are having these sessions. Send us your questions. I always say we want the sessions to be tailored to us. We are doing these sessions to help us. If there's a topic you want us to address, please email us, send us messages, and then we'll come here and talk about these things. We don't want to just do education that would not be useful for us as a community. So please send us all your suggestions, tell us what you want us to discuss, and we will do this. Because you hinted, obesity is something we talk about all the time. Dr. Ojwang, I want you to come back and talk to us about some of the reasons why people try and still do not lose weight. There are some people who tell you, I'm doing everything right. I've reduced my portion sizes. I'm doing physical activity, but I still can't lose weight. There's a friend of mine who says she did a TLC, she did everything right. Her visceral fat, her abdomen, her waist circumference didn't change. So please, can you come back in about 2-3 weeks' time and talk to us? Why is it that some people did TLC, some people reduced their portions, some people did all the physical activity, but they still have big tummies? I need a session on why that's the case.
Okay.
Maybe last week in October.
I'm going to be writing my case studies, so we'll come with examples why.
Yes. Would really appreciate you bring some examples, because I know you've done this for so many years. So what are the challenges? Let us know.
Yeah, gladly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Any more comments? Have we addressed all of the misconceptions on the topic today? It seems like a quiet.
Yeah, and well, I didn't want to, hormones can be very complex, so that's why I wanted a short session so we can discuss more. I think we've discussed well. So just to summarize then, what are they taking home from this session? Let them tell us. What are you taking home from this session?
Do we want to share anything we've learned about hormones? Diet.
They're not asking, we can ask,
in the chat. Or do we want to unmute ourselves and share take-home message from the session?
Yeah, take-home message for me personally is that no matter what I do, that hormones are in control. So when you mentioned about working out and using the hormones to work out, as well as eating a lot, because I eat a lot of food. So when you said that the hormones, is it leptin? When you have a lot of leptin in your system, that you eat a lot of food all the time. So that explains why I'm always hungry. And yeah, that's my take. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Sam. Alice, about that. It's like, to me, it's like the chicken and the egg story. Which one comes first? Is it because people are eating so much that they have a lot of leptin, or is it that people who have a lot of leptin tend to want to eat a lot? What is it?
Okay. Don't confuse me now, because it's actually
I'm sorry.
Okay, so let's say you're a lean person, okay? Because leptin regulates your appetite, So you're a lean person and you start to eat a lot, okay? So you always have an appetite at this particular time, but the more you eat, the more your leptin levels increases and the more your appetite goes up, all right? But that is worse, especially for somebody who is overweight, because also it's been shown that obesity, when you're obese, also your leptin levels are a lot higher. So you're obese, you're trying to lose weight, your leptin levels are higher. You automatically always have the appetite. So you're always going to eat. So yeah, so it's confusing, but yeah, you eat. It's you who trains your system. You see, these hormones are produced to be able to regulate. It's a hormone, it's a molecule that it's sent to an organ to do what it's supposed to do. So it's what you do with your body, and you're the one who trains your body to produce too much or not to produce. For example, just when you exercise, you produce endorphins. That's a good hormone. When you eat a lot of food, you produce excess insulin levels, okay? Yeah, so you are the one who's training you.
I agree. To add to that, when you are sleep deprived, that also affects those hormones, so that might help answer Sam's question as well. Or well, no, it wasn't a question, it was a comment, so when people don't sleep well, then, those hormones are distorted. So again, you might have more of the, the hunger hormone or, the appetite hormone and less of the satiety hormone. And so your body cannot even tell that you're full or you're hungry. So all you do is to just eat. Again, it's a lifestyle. So Alice is you are the one who controls these processes. Yes. If you don't sleep well, that can also impact on these hormones, and that would affect your eating behaviors. And then you end up just consuming. And then you become overweight. Then the cycle continues.
Yes, and about the craving and the leptin, and sometimes it's also your hormones are involved. Your estrogen, your reproduction hormones are also involved. Your estrogen levels are involved. The estrogen levels are low at a particular time because around your periods, then you have so the estrogen levels are low, and then the progesterone levels are high, and then you are craving, and then you have the leptin in place, and then you have your poor habits, and then you just confuse the whole system. And this is why, hormones have a very big role to play in our emotions and how we do things. And so you can get hooked on bad habits because your hormones have a role to play in it. And you can also get hooked into good habits because your hormones have a role to play in it. So which ones do you want?
Which ones do you want? I like that. There's a question in the chat, but I really would ask Jean to join us because I have a session for next week, and I think I have one for the week after. So, I've asked Dr. Ojwang to come and talk to us about why people, from the scientific evidence and from her own practice, why is it that some people just struggle to lose weight? So, Jean, that question on why is it difficult to burn fat on lower belly, please do join us. I don't know what the date of the last Tuesday in October would be, but I want her to come back and discuss this as a session. Why do people struggle to burn fat, to lose weight, especially around the belly? Okay, because we don't have any more time. Our time is up. So please do join us in future sessions and we will address this question for you. So any final 30 seconds message, Dr. Ojwang, please.
Genes load the gun, but your lifestyle pulls the trigger. So don't blame your genes, blame your lifestyle. But I'm sure you've been at it. I mean, this session has been going on for a long time. So just apply these sessions and come back and also be telling us what it is that you want to learn, Yeah. And so we continue to support you so that you can do your best. Remember what I said in my last slides? Okay. Let me just read it for you. I said, okay, your diet impacts your health and your life by impacting the micromolecules that signal your metabolism, your sleep, your movement, your respiratory system, and many other things. So you need to do your best to improve your body's immune and internal health, because it's going to protect you now and later in life. So why is it that when people get to a certain age, then they are going to be diagnosed with cancer, with all these things? And why are there some people of the same age group or even older, but they are in good health? They move, they breathe, and they're fine. So it's the lifestyle choices that we make. So
indeed, it is a lifestyle choices. Thank you so much, Dr. Ojwang. That was a very, very insightful session as always. Thank you to our audience. Thank you so much for the questions and the engagement. Lifestyle is not just about nutrition. So please, if possible, join in the next session with Orlando. Let's get some physical activity as well. Next week, we'll come your way with another topic. I think some might tell us at the end. I can't remember from the top of my head, but yes, please do join us same time, 6:30 next week, and contact me, contact Khan if you have specific topics you want us to address. Thank you all, and I do hope you have a good evening.
Thank you. Hi, Orlando.
Thank you, Dr. Hibbah. I hope everybody enjoyed that amazing seminar, and I hope people are going to stay on for the fitness portion of today's session. Today, as last week, we have a boxer-size session planned, so please stay on. All you need for this session is plenty of water and plenty of space. You see, I'm using my living room here, and a good mental fighting attitude. All right, so 7 now. Let's get straight into it. Let me turn my tunes up. We're going to start nice and light. We're going to start with some straights, okay? So left and right. We're going to go for 30 seconds, okay, people? Let's get ready. 3, 2, 1. Let's get into our warm-up now, people. Let's go.
You want that? You're not going to me.
Keep going, people. Just find out where the noise is from. Keep going, people. Keep throwing those strings. Go. Oh, sorry. Now also 2, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Side steps. Hand right in front of the head. Let's go. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Okay, next movement. In your guard, I need a double jab and a cross. Okay, once again, a double jab and a cross. Let's go. 30 seconds. Then put your whole body into the movement, really turn your hips, turn the body. Bang, turn the hips, turn the feet to the punch. Two, 1, and time. Rest there, people. 15-second break, and we're going straight back into the warm-up. Okay, people, join me back in the center. Let's get straight back into this warm-up. So now 30 seconds, I need a shadow skip. Okay, if you have a skipping rope at home, you have the space, then feel free to use that. If not, we're going to rotate your wrists and we're getting some air time from the floor. Okay, so shadow skips in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Ten seconds. 2, 1. Okay, that's 1. We're gonna jab, cross, jab, cross. Let's go. 30 seconds. Let's go. Go. That going to be 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next move. Open the gates. Go side. Let's go. Close the gate. Next one, arms forward. Backwards. Stay down. Backwards. To the hips. Face directly in. Wow. Okay, time there, people. Go back to your corners. Take a 30-second water break, and then we're going to go into round number one. Okay, people, back to your spaces now. Let's get busy. Round number one coming your way. All right, so like real boxing rounds, each round we do tonight will be 3-minute rounds, okay? Full 3-minute round. If you feel the need to take a breather, step off for a second, that's fine. Have a quick shake off and then get straight back to your combination, all right, people? So first round, we have a combination round, okay? We're gonna start like this in our guard, okay? So my dominant hand, my right hand. So I'm going to stand left foot forward, left hand forward slightly, hand just below the eyes. Okay, so it's going to be jab, cross, uppercut, cross. Okay, once again, left, right, left uppercut, right again. All right, 2 and 3 in the same place. Utilize your whole space. So here, 2, 2 and 3 here. Let's change round again. Okay. After 60 seconds, we're gonna add some inches to the mix. All right. For the first minute, all you gotta worry about is jab, across, and uppercut, and across. All right, people. Let's get busy now. Come on. Let's get busy. First round. Let's get started. Let's go on the drop. Get ready now. If you can hear the music's a little bit iffy sometimes. But get ready. 3, 2, 1, go. I'm going to do close. Halfway, keep working that combination for me. Let's go. "15 seconds, people. Keep going in. Come on. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's pause the clock right there. Let's pause the clock. Let's add to it now for the second minute. So we're going to hit 1, 2, 3, 4. Then from there, another uppercut cross, uppercut cross. Watch again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Second minute. Let's go. Let's go, people. Wait, keep it going, people. Seconds. Oh, I pause and slug there. Let's make our last edition now. So, after this here, 7, 8 from there, 10 straight for speed. If you can, 10. One more time. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Let's finish the round now. 3, 2, 1, go. Go on, people. Let's go. We'll put it all together now. A lot of punches to think about. Then again, this one's slow. Yeah. Let's go. 20 seconds. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1. Have a like there, people. Well done, well done. Take 45 seconds, take some water, have a shake off, and enjoy me for round number 2. Well done. Okay, my people, let's go back into the ring now. Join me for round number 2. Okay, round number 2, we have a defensive round. We're bringing the legs and the core in a little bit more now. Okay, so first minute is as follows. We're our guard, we 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to duck down, come up, and we're going to weave down, come up. Okay, so duck, we're going to duck. B, we can equal that as our dominant hand. Okay, so it's hard to remember between a duck and a weave. A duck, you're going down toward your dominant hand, and a weave, you're going down toward your weaker hand, should we say. All right, so what we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. Duck toward my right, weave toward my left, come up, reset. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, duck, fish, weave. Back to the center. All right, people, that will be your first 60 seconds. All right, people, let's get busy now. Come on. Let's go on the drum again. Forget the music. Let's get it in. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. Well, pause right there. Okay, let's work it now. Let's add to it now. So, from that, weave, as we come up through the weave and shot to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Weave, 1, 2. Okay. 1, right to the ready. Let's go. 3. 4. And it together now. Working it down. Down, cross. We body shot. Come on. Yeah. 2, 1, hold it there. Okay, let's make our last addition now, people. After those body shots, I need to cross, step back, cross. Walk me real quick. Look, weave, 1, 2, 3, 4. Get this down from the beginning. Let's go. Last minute. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Boom. Boom. Seconds. Keep it going. Fifteen seconds to go. Keep putting it together, people. Come on. Three, 2, 1, and boom, there's the bell, people. Well done. Another 45-second rest. Back with our final round coming up. Let's go. Yeah. 'Okay, people, fly back into your ring now. Let's go. Third and final round coming your way. I'm going to finish strong. We're going to finish with legs. Okay, we've got a leg round now. Okay, so this round will split into 3 60-second segments. And in each segment, the exercise will change, but the boxing combination will stay the same. All right, so watch me now. We're going to be here. So if I here, jab, cross, 10 uppercuts. That's one time. Then we're going to do it again. Jab, cross, 10 uppercuts. From there, I need 2 deep squats, nice and deep. So we're going to be here, squeeze, squeeze, and then straight back to your combination. Okay, so here, 2, 3, 4, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. Then we're going 2 deep squats, nice and slow. Second minute, we'll change the exercise. Third minute, we'll change the exercise. All right, people, this is the third and final round. Legs, let's get busy. Come on now. Tune on. Let's get ready now. Breath, third and final round. So we jab, cross, 10 uppercuts. Repeat that, then we have 2 deep squats. 60 seconds, let's go. They're ready on the drop. Counting, 2, go. So, 25 seconds back. Keep it coming. Fifteen seconds. Two, 1. Okay, pause the clock right there. Okay, now we're going to add to that. Now we're going to change the exercise. Okay, so we're here. 2, 3, 4, 10 uppercuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 uppercuts. And we've got 4 lunges this time. 4 lunges. 2, 3, 4. Okay. So 4, 10, 4, 10, 4 lunges. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Second minute. Let's go. Twenty seconds. Ten seconds. No. 2, 1. Okay, pause stop right there. Pause stop right there. Okay. So last minute now. We're gonna go 4, 10, 4, 10. Squats. Okay. So 4, 10, 4, 10. 2 jump squat. Last minute. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Go. Go. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And rest there, people. Well done, well done. Okay, take a 30-second water break, and then we will stretch up. Okay, people, join me back in the center now. Let's stretch up. Let's cool that body down, calm the body down. Okay, let's start with our next exercise, like so. Nice and slow and controlled. Let's go chin to chest and back. Okay, reach across, stay on one side. Change sides. To the waist, nice and slow. Change direction. Front to back. Okay, last one now. Feet together. Slight bend in the knees. Try and touch your toes. Hold there. Nice and slow. Shake it all off. Nice time. Well done, well done. I'm not sure if Sam's still on the call. Well done, people, tonight. Well done. Praise. You know.
Yes, sir. Orlando. Got a bit of a cold. Thank you very much for another wonderful side session. I'm sure your people appreciate that, and I'm sure I appreciate that too. It's always fun to watch you work out. I'm sure one of these days I'll take part too. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed learning about your diet and your hormones and how that affects the way you live. Tune in same time next week, and we'll see you there. That's bye-bye from me.
Peace, people. Well done, everybody. Have a nice evening. Peace.